What's going on, people? Welcome to 137 Works, and today we're having a look at this. This is the Formula Hybrid X 2026. It is Race Sim Studios' version of their kind of imagination of the next generation of Formula 1 that's going to come along with the new regulations in 2026 in real life. So, as you can see here, there's kind of a lot similar, but very subtly very different. And I noticed this as well because I was testing it and I was looking at it when I first downloaded it. And I brought in a copy of the 2024 car that RSS also just released recently. It's more drastic looking at it by itself than when you actually compare it to the car side by side. I basically loaded them up with the rear wheels in line with each other, and I basically just kind of had a look at the length and the width and the different kind of like different areas where it might be different. And again, as you look at it here, it looks like it's drastically different. It looks like it's hugely just like this revolutionary, smaller, nimbler looking car. The dimensions actually in comparison, directly comparing them, isn't that different. It's just there's subtle changes, and I think the best way to do it will just be to show you. So as you can see there, I've roughly lined them up here, wheels kind of along the rear arch, and you can see just how it kind of stretches out. Front is a little bit longer. Again, it looks so much more drastic when you see them kind of when you look at one and look at the other separately, but when you look at them side by side, it's actually not terribly different. So the 2024 car here on the bottom is quite a bit wider, to be fair. Obviously it's a lot more kind of more slim. That's a little bit more noticeable. The nose is a lot kind of, well, not a lot, but it's slimmer on the new cars, and the tapers down to a slimmer point, and it goes out a little bit further, as you can see there, whereas it's a little bit kind of thicker on the newer car, the 2026 car, and it comes down to this kind of like more rounded nose. Again, it's concept. It depends. All the teams in real life will obviously work this out. Yeah, you can see there the wing. Obviously, the biggest difference kind of for me visually wise is the front wing is very 2007 2008 Formula 1ish. It's they had a very distinct look. Some of them had like bits of wing going up over the front of the nose and stuff like that. It's very reminiscent of that. But yeah, that's the kind of the most drastic difference, as opposed to much more kind of straightforward, like wide across the front of the car to the end plates from the current regs. But yeah, just again, it's a hard one to describe. It's a lot more subtle. Again, looking at it there, yeah, this looks a lot smaller, but like, I don't know, it's just maybe it's the perspective or something like that. Maybe it's just the perspective of the camera. But yeah, to me, it doesn't look drastically that different, or at least again not as much as I thought it was, or as I thought I did when I first saw like the concept car released and kind of saw different renderings and all that kind of stuff. Like it's different. It's definitely different. Like you're a lot further forward, for example, in the cockpit. The halo looks actually quite a bit bigger. I don't know if that's just the paint job or what, but the halo looks a bit thicker. You can see there, I suppose that's a good angle for exactly for kind of where the difference is. Look how much further forward the front to the top of the airbox goes, and then yeah, the front it is actually quite, now that I see it in this angle, it is actually quite a fair bit different size wise. It makes it a bit more apparent. Anyway, the point being is that yes, these are the next generation, so it's basically the best guess that we have at the moment to what's going to be coming next. We can't obviously say for sure, because again, every team will do their things differently. Not every car is going to look like this. Not every car will even, not any of the cars even necessarily will look exactly like this. This is just, again, RSS Race Sim Studios' best attempt at what it should look like when it comes around. But yeah, I'm really excited to try it out, because again, RSS, they do amazing stuff. They're one of the best modding groups in the modding community for Assetto Corsa. But yeah, that's just basically a quick look at the comparison of the two cars. But basically, yeah, as far as the stats go, it's a little bit misleading because it only shows the internal combustion engine stats. I don't think I've tended to notice this with electric cars. Assetto Corsa Content Manager only shows the information for the engine. It doesn't show any of the hybrid power added on. It might be like the developers might put it in the notes or whatever, but it's not shown in the power specs. So this is only shown as having like 530 horsepower or something like that. But it's obviously got quite a bit more now when you factor in the electric aspect of it. But yeah, it's kind of, again, it's something that I've been really looking forward to trying out, because there was a rough model based on the announcement kind of spec that had the FIA livery and stuff like that. Somebody did do a model of it, but to get like what should be a very good, decent job done by the lads at RSS is something that I'm very excited to try out. So yeah, that without further ado, if you don't know what we do here, basically, first of all, now after this little kind of look around and first introduction, we're going to do a little beauty montage where I show off some of the kind of the interesting parts of it and stuff like that, alongside some music. And then after that, we jump into the car on track in VR. So this is a VR specific kind of video, so we'll be looking at the quality in VR, which again, it should be great. It's RSS, they do the best stuff. Like, so I'm expecting high quality, I'm expecting good stuff. But yeah, basically it's just going to be a VR test to see how things look. Is there good like detail in the cockpit, ambient occlusion, shadows? Is it immersive? Does it feel like a good place to be? We're then going to do a sound test, because again, you know, it should as far as I know, like they are still the V6 turbo, so it shouldn't be, you know, anything drastically different. It should sound pretty good. And then yeah, finally we're going to take it out onto the track and do a couple of laps. Usually we'd do a single lap of the Nürburgring Nordschleife if it was a road car or GT car, or if it was a drift car, I usually do Silverstone National, the kind of the old Forza section. But for these Formula cars, I like to just do a couple of laps in Silverstone GP, like just kind of get a feel for the car. It's not about my ability as a driver, it's not about trying to set the best lap time or any lap time for that matter. You know, I'm not trying to show how deadly of a driver I am. It's just a first look at the car, yeah, and see how it feels, kind of just like, you know, what's it like to jump in and drive for the first time, and then just, you know, how quickly can you get used to it, and what does it feel like when you finally get comfortable and you're driving on the edge? Like, is it controllable? How does it feel like? I've got some Expectations, I feel like it should be a lot more nimble. It should be quicker, I'd imagine, with the less weight and stuff like that. A bit more nimble, a bit more agile, and just a fun time. Again, it should be really well done, well modeled. Again, of course, it's not released yet. The car hasn't come out. We don't have any actual data to go off of, so it is all kind of hypothetical and theoretical. With that said, it should be good because again, it's RSS. They've got their kind of reputation precedes them. Everyone knows that they do good stuff. So with that said, let us jump into the little montage, and then I'll meet you on the track. Okay, so here we are in the cockpit of the Formula Hybrid X 2026, and interesting, some weird little, like, it looks like the old kind of physical gear stick that I used to have back in the day, but it's obviously not that. The cables have numbers on them, which is really cool detail, like the little switch box down there, the different materials, different writing on it. I don't know what any of it is supposed to do in theory, or what it does, but it looks good. The halo, again, just seems smaller and narrower. I don't know if that's a thing in the specs of 2026 maybe, where they've redesigned the halo to be like, it's still as strong and as efficient, but they've managed to bring down the kind of chunkiness and the overall kind of profile of it. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, it looks great. All the detail on the wheel there, all the buttons as you'd expect them. It looks a bit, I don't like the gradient. Again, that's just, I'm sure that's just for like the base template before we have any of the team skins or whatever like that, of how they're exactly going to design the wheel. It looks a bit cheap with the fade, the gradient, whatever. Can't really complain otherwise, looks pretty good. So yeah, so let's just jump in and see how it sounds, give it the audio test. Yep, that's a hybrid V6 turbo. It's pretty much what you'd expect it to sound like. It's nothing to write home about, but it does the job absolutely fine. Have a listen from the outside. I have to say, it does look pretty badass. I really wish they'd get rid of the wheel covers. I think with this, like going back to this kind of smaller, narrower, just slimmer looking car, with like a good set of wheels, I think that would look absolutely fantastic. But I suppose there's nothing better to do now than to get out on track, so we will go and take it for our first laps. Of course, warming up the tyres on the first lap, just kind of getting a feel for it. Front brakes locked up pretty easy there, so I'm assuming that's to do with heat and temperature and all that kind of thing. Oh, interesting. Just noticed the DRS there. The wing kind of falls down flat. Oh, I wasn't looking. I wasn't paying attention. No, great start, admittedly. I got distracted by the rear wing. Like, I don't know if you can see that, if it's the details there, but the DRS isn't like a slot in the rear wing. The top actually folds down. Oh, I can't do it now, obviously, because I'm not on a DRS section, but the top kind of falls down as opposed to like a gap in the rear wing where you still have the top plane open. That's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. Again, it's like 2 years away, so I haven't really been overly, well, a year I suppose now at this point. I haven't really been overly paying attention to it, but, or like to all the ins and out details. Again, we don't really have any. We don't know exactly how it's going to work or how the teams are going to interpret the rules and stuff, but yeah, just taking it easy on this first lap, just feeling it out. I've already messed up one, so don't want to overly push it. Bit of a glare from the sun up there, which is not ideal, but make it work. Whoop, oh, went a little wide there. Ooh, interesting. Okay, right. The harder that I push down on the brakes, the more I started to slide the back end out. Again, this is the stock tune, and the whatever the default tires are, I assume they're mediums, but I don't know for sure. This should be flat out, yeah. Oh yes, the oversteer. Oh, that'll get away from you. Okay, I'm sure that was my fault somehow. I was probably in the wrong gear coming in, or brake too late or something, but yeah, it's an interesting one so far. Again, it's always the way with Formula cars. You do not expect to be able to just jump in them and drive them straight away. Once you get used to their weird little quirks and foibles and stuff. Okay, we can check out this rear wing now. Yeah, that's mad. The flap just falls down. Okay. That's different and new. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, Formula 1 cars, like, they tend to be like, once you kind of learn the ins and outs and their little nuances and how to drive them, they tend to then be on kind of rails and drive themselves. It's that first initial time whenever you jump in one for the first time, that can be a little bit scary, where it's like, okay, I don't know what you're capable of or not. For example here, is this flat out? No, it's not. Or at least not the way that I took it that first time, so. That should be... Oh, it's not though, because I forget that you need to brake there. That is driver error. You could take that corner flat out, but you couldn't. You were in like you should be easing off because you need to for the rest of. Is it Brooklands? I can't remember the name of the corners here. No, Maggots and Beckett's. Yeah, I don't remember which one's which, but yeah, as you come into that, you should be braking, even though you don't necessarily have to for the left hand to make around the right hand one the way that you want to be doing it. Oh god, it's not very forgiving. And you again, usually I would be a better driver than this, but again, it's the first time driving it. It's a new car, new Formula car, and I'm also trying to drive and talk and be a video guy at the same time, which is tricky. But it's not very forgiving. It's like if you make a mistake and you have to try and correct it, like any kind of amount of like quick changing of the wheel or like that is you're just getting sent into a spin, unfortunately, which is less than ideal. Right, that's a little better because I think again my focus, I was more aware that I'd made that mistake in the first one. I haven't tried mashing my foot down out of the corner yet. To see how it handles with kind of... Oh, I tried it there and I didn't like it. Again, it's all good to know. It's good information. It's stuff that I know now that I can and can't do, for example. Yeah, very unforgiving. Again, I don't know if it's twitchy's the right word. I don't know if that's just down to the size. I was just trying to make sure my view is right. Oh, I'm getting distracted here, sorry. I'm not sure if it's just twitchy because it's smaller and narrower, but that, like, if that makes such a huge difference. Or if I just haven't figured out how to drive it just yet or what, but it's just, yeah, it just seems very easy to induce oversteer. It seems very easy to kind of spin out and stuff. I don't know, again, it could be the tyres, it could be the amount of fuel that's on board. Like, it looks like there's 50 litres there according to the dash. So it could just be overweighted. It could, with like a combination of overweight or like heavily weighted or whatever. With the fact that it's probably on like medium tyres or whatever. Oh my god. That's wide. But yeah, it's definitely something, again, it feels good for what I can say. Again, most of these problems I'm sure are just down to me not knowing how to drive it just yet. And just the fact that, again, it is a Formula 1 car. It's not easy to drive. It's not, you know, it's the pinnacle of motorsport. It's not going to be necessarily easy to drive, jump in straight away and learn how to drive quickly. Again, it's like I was saying, though, once you learn how to drive it and you know what you can and can't do, it should be fine. Just a quick lift off there, just to get it around. Yeah, probably being a little bit more gentle there than I need to be, but just trying to get it around. With that wing open at the back. See, it seems to be, it doesn't like braking while turning. If I'm braking a little bit too late and I realise that I need to brake a little heavier, it's like the front wheel starts to lock up. And then turning in at the same time just unlocks it and it just comes around, it wants to spin around on you. I will admit, just personally, this last section, those last couple of corners in Silverstone have never been my my forte per se. Trying to remember to get on the brakes a bit earlier. See, this is what I'm saying about, like, just learning it, knowing what you've messed up on, and how you can improve the next couple of laps afterwards. I'm also know that I'm very, I do know that I'm very slow through that corner there as well, that whatever that one's called. Just easing it out, figuring it out. But again, it feels good. All the rumble, all the feedback through the wheel and stuff like that is all there. It's all present. And that feels good. It lets me know. Again, I can feel when the grip is about to go. Like, I can feel all the bumps. I can feel all the little just rumbles and stuff like that. Like, I know in certain cars, certain past Formula 1 cars and stuff like that corner can be taken flat out, but apparently not in this case, but we shall... Oh, no, I knew as soon as I put my foot down. You could probably hear I went... Vroom, vroom. I made 2 stabs at the accelerator because I was like, no, this is going around as soon as I do this. Alright, we're on lap 5, so I think I'll just do maybe 1 or 2 more laps depending on how this next one goes. If I can pull together a good clean lap at the end of this one, I'll call it there, but I would just like to get one good, decent clean lap where I feel like I've kind of strung everything together. That's not the worst exit I've seen. I've done of that corner anyway. I also feel like my frame rate is very choppy in the headset. I don't know if that's what's going on there, but it's just it's a little bit hard to see properly. Like as stupid as that sounds like. I'm hoping it looks good on the video, but in the headset it's very it's just a little bit hard to kind of concentrate. No, see, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, I just had someone come in there. I had to cut out a little bit the video there. What I was basically saying was that, yeah, it's mad for the fact that by the time these cars comes out, like the 2026 regs, it will have been basically, what, how long would that be? Nearly 9 years or so since 2017, which was kind of the first, I think, the first Formula Hybrid, or at least the first major one that I remember, the Formula Hybrid from RSS, the 2017. And the difference between them is actually relatively subtle. They are, like, they more or less generally tend to feel roughly the same. Not the same, but like similar. Like, you'd think there'd be more drastic difference over the course of 10 years of like development and how the cars change, obviously based on the real life specs and stuff like that. But generally speaking, like, they tend to be fairly comparable. Which is both a testament obviously to RSS quality as far as their mods goes, and then also just the cars in real life, I suppose. Like this, they are certainly different. Like there's always subtle differences. Again, like this car feels a bit more twitchy, but generally speaking, they're not miles and miles apart. Like the cars, oh god, yeah. I'm just basically saying that the cars are pretty much pretty similar, which is a surprise. It's just something that I noticed as I'm driving. Again, how I drive them is an entirely different thing, but thankfully it's not a. The videos are not a comment on my driving ability, which is questionable at best, as you can see. Yeah, we're on lap 8 here, and I believe I will do... I'll just go to 10. I'll make it around even 10 and just maybe edit in such a way that makes it a bit shorter if it's dragging on too long. Obviously, I need to cut out that section where someone called into the room, but... Oh, messed that one up. Oh, no, Jesus. Yeah, but the interesting thing to note is that, like, I can jump into a street car, and I can jump into a GT car and stuff like that, and get like a good lap, like a good clean lap. Like even of the Nürburgring, I can make it around the Nürburgring in like a GT2 car or whatever like that, without, you know, short of like making a single mistake or whatever like that, without spinning, or hitting the wall or going off to, like, you know, crashing in any way. Like, it's interesting that we're 10 laps in and I haven't gotten so much as like what I would consider like a clean counting, like good lap that I'd like be happy to say, yeah, that was the best that I got there. Now again, it's different. I'm recording, I'm focusing half on talking, half on driving, which changes things a bit, but it's just interesting. There's also some definitely weird frame rate stuff going on. I'm almost getting like, definitely don't get VR sick, or like I've long had my VR legs by this point, but yeah, there's just something. It's just a weird little stutteriness or something like that, or like a low frame rate in my eyes that's making it just a little bit hard to see everything ideally. But look, as we enter the last lap, I'll just talk about the mod, because again, like whatever about the cars, whatever about the driving and the laps and stuff like that, the mod itself is absolutely fantastic. I can tell that like there's nothing wrong with the mod. It's all the feeling that's there, as I say, as I go over the rumble strips there. I can feel that come through the hand. I can feel where the limit is on grip. I can feel when I go over into the grass and stuff. Like, there's nothing here that's wrong as a result of the mod. RSS knocking it out of the park yet again. Again, with limited data, with just basically a guess at what the regulations will do. And I don't want to jinx it, but as I've been talking, this has been a decent start to a lap already, so... Although I did just miss the DRS there, so that's a bit annoying. yeah, it's definitely something that with a bit more time and practice in, I'll get the hang of. Because again, it is more or less fairly similar to the previous car, so should be something that I should be able to get to grips with. I think maybe mentally I'm taking it a little bit more gentle here now, so to try and get one last lap in since we're on the last one, but that's probably for the best. We'll get one last clean lap in and call it quits there, so. Oh, it's very bumpy coming out there, but it's working. We're heading towards the final lap, but the clean lap, so. Maybe it just takes 10 laps for the tires to warm up properly, come into their proper operating temperature. That's all. Like, it hasn't actually been anything to do with me. I've been driving perfectly the whole time. It's just that the tires weren't warm, evidently. But yeah, as I kind of gingerly bring it around the last corner here, I will just say that's about it for the car. It feels fantastic. I definitely recommend going and checking it out. RSS knock it out of the park once again. And yeah, the car actually feels a lot better now. Like, I think it actually, I was goofing, but I think it genuinely might have just been not like fully up to temp for those first couple of laps, because it just does feel like it's coming into itself now. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's RSS, you know what you're going to get. It's good quality. They also have a couple of cars out now as well. They've got it's basically just a modified version of their hybrid Formula Hybrid 2023 car that they've slightly adjusted to make it a 2024 one. They didn't make a full kind of attempt at the 2024 car, because again, the 2024 car is essentially just a rework of the 2023 ones. I think most teams are putting their focus now into 2026, so there's not going to be drastic. There wasn't drastic changes in the cars this year. Oh, little tiny lift there. This is actually a better lap than the previous one, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, look, I'm nearly a second up. Yeah, they've got that. They've also got a Formula. I messed it up. Yeah, they've got a Formula 2. So they have the. Is it Formula 2? Yeah, Formula 2. And I want to say a Formula 4 GT. Whatever they're called, Formula RSS 4, whatever that is equivalent to the real life. Yeah, so they've got a few new offerings out, so definitely worth checking it out. I'll leave a link in the description, obviously, as always, down below. Yeah, that's about it. I will finish off by pulling into the pits there and just say, if you enjoyed it, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.